Happy pre-Thanksgiving. So I'm pre-thankful. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for Jane Austen and her book Pride and Prejudice. I'm thankful for the beautiful weather that I'm able to still sit on my porch in November. And I'm thankful that we can begin to read. So let's read. Colin Foyle, how are you? I miss you guys. Good to see you. Don't tell me you guys are reading Pride and Prejudice. I don't even think you're in British Lit at this point. You should be, oh, Colin, what should you be? Should you be in, I don't, yeah. I'm trying to think what grade you're in by now. Gatsby. I had that. Hey, Fareed. Gatsby's on my playlist, but you didn't need it. Say hi to your family and happy Thanksgiving to all of them. To your cousin. You know who I mean. Well, two of your cousins I taught. So, good, Colin. Fareed, Colin was he wasn't actually one of my students, but he went to the school I used to teach at, so I know him. Yeah, Great Gatsby is 10th grade. No, 11th grade. 11th grade. You have the best English teacher, Colin. I love her. So, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope they have a great Thanksgiving. I hear he's doing really well with the radio station. Is that right? Lake and Lee for a separate piece. Thank you. I'm going to say Lake, and my dad is always confused when I stop and talk, and I don't know if he'll actually see this episode, but Daddy Lake and Lee said she loves our videos so much, and she gave me a heart. So, see, that's who I'm talking to. God, that's so exciting. I'm so proud of him. I'm so glad because he knows music, that's for sure. All right. I've got to go because we've got family birthday parties to celebrate this evening. So let's read. Let's get this chapter in. Chapter 34, which is page 177 in the Everyman's Library publication. When they were gone, Elizabeth, as if intending to exasperate herself as much as possible against Mr. Darcy, chose for her employment the examination of all the letters which Jane had written to her since her being in Kent. They contained no actual complaint, nor was there any revival of past occurrences. Colin, if you're still there, which I don't know if you are, can you tell what sweatshirt I'm wearing? See, I mean, it won't show all the words, but you get the idea. I still love you guys. But in all, and in almost every line of each, there was a lack of that cheerfulness which had been used to characterize her style, and which, proceeding from the serenity of a mind at ease with itself and kindly disposed towards everyone, had been scarcely ever clouded. Elizabeth noticed every sentence conveying this idea of uneasiness, with an attention which had hardly received on the first perusal. Mr. Darcy's shameful boast of what misery he had been able to inflict gave her a keener sense of her sister's sufferings. So those of you that are a little bit lost in the story, remember that she's found out from Fitzwilliam, Darcy's cousin, that Darcy claims to be the reason that her sister and Bingley broke up. And so she just is rereading it and trying to search for every hint that she could of how her sister's doing. It was some consolation to think that his visit to Ralsing's was to end on the day after the next, and a still greater that in less than a fortnight, 2 weeks, she should herself be with Jane again, and enabled to contribute to the recovery of her spirits by all that affection could do. She could not think of Darcy's leaving Kent without remembering that his cousin was to go with him. But Colonel Fitzwilliam had made it clear he had no intentions at all, and agreeable as he was, she did not mean to be unhappy about him. So even though he'd been flirting with her and he liked her, they're not in a position to be able to marry each other because of money, because of the situation of how marriage works in this time period. She doesn't have enough money for him to be able to marry her. She could not think of Darcy's leaving. While settling this point, she was suddenly roused by the sound of the doorbell, and her spirits were a little fluttered by the idea of its being Colonel Fitzwilliam himself, who had once before called late in the evening and might now come to inquire particularly after her. But this idea was soon banished, and her spirits were very differently affected when, to her utter amazement, she saw Mr. Darcy walk into the room. In an unhurried manner, he immediately began an inquiry after her health, im- imputing his visit to a wish of hearing that she were better. She answered him with cold civility. He sat down for a few moments, and then getting up, walked about the room. Elizabeth was surprised, but said not a word. After a silence of several minutes, he came towards her in an agitated manner and thus began, "In vain have I struggled. It will not do so. It will not do. My feelings will not be repressed. I have these strong feelings, and I've tried to stop them. I can't stop these feelings. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you." Oh, Mr. Darcy has confessed his love. Elizabeth's astonishment was beyond expression. She stared, colored like blushed, doubted, and was silent. This he considered sufficient encouragement, and the avowal of all that he felt and had long felt for her immediately followed. He spoke well, but there were feelings besides those of the heart to be detailed, and he was not more eloquent on the subject of tenderness than of pride. His sense of her inferiority. So he's trying to tell her how much he loved her, but he's so honest. He's like, I know you're not good enough for me. I can't understand how I could possibly love you, but in spite of your being beneath me, I do love you. Like, it's not going to go very well. His sense of her inferiority, of its being a degradation, of the family obstacles which judgment had always opposed to inclination, were dwelt on with a warmth which seemed due to the consequence he was wounding, but was very unlikely to recommend his suit. Like, he's not going to convince her of much with the way he's saying it. In spite of her deeply rooted dislike, she could not be insensible to the compliment of such a man's affection. In other words, even though she doesn't like him, she knows he's a super good catch. And, she needs to be aware of, wow, I should be flattered that this guy's interested in me. And though her intentions did not vary for an instant, she was at first sorry for the pain he was to receive. She knows she's going to turn him down. She knows it's going to hurt him. Till, roused to resentment by his subsequent language, she lost all compassion in anger. She tried, however, to compose herself to answer him with patience, when he should have done. He concluded with representing to her the strength of that attachment which, in spite of all his endeavors, he had found impossible to conquer, and with expressing his hope that it would now be rewarded by her acceptance of his hand. So he's making an official proposal, offer of engagement, and she's not having it. As he said this, she could easily see that he had no doubt of a favorable answer. He's sure she'll say yes, because who is he? He's rich Darcy, of course. She's a nobody. Of course she's going to say yes. He spoke of apprehension and anxiety, but his countenance expressed real security. Such a circumstance could only exasperate farther. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, bless me. And when he ceased, the color rose into her cheeks, and she said, "In such cases as this, it is, I believe, the established mode to express a sense of obligation for the sentiments avowed, however unequally they may be returned. It is natural that obligation should be felt, and if I could feel gratitude, I would now thank you. But I cannot. I have never desired your good opinion, and you have certainly bestowed it most unwillingly. I am sorry to have occasioned pain to anyone. It has been most unconsciously done, however, and I hope it will be of short duration. The feelings which, you tell me, have long prevented the acknowledgement of your regard can have little difficulty in overcoming it after this explanation." Mr. Darcy, who was leaning against the mantelpiece with his eyes fixed on her face, seemed to catch her words with no less resentment than surprise. His complexion became pale with anger, and the disturbance of his mind was visible in every feature. He was struggling for the appearance of composure and would not open his lips till he believed himself to have attained it. So he's stunned and he's mad and he's like, "Get yourself under control. Get yourself under control." That's what's in his head. Calm down. Don't explode. Don't be rude. Breathe. Just breathe. Have you ever had that moment where you're so angry and you know if you even open your mouth, unbelievably bad things are going to come out? That's where he is. Grace, what do you have to share with someone who's selling? Oh, wow. That is an amazing price. 16 books. That's not even $1 a book, as bad as my math is. And she's a really good author. And hopefully these are all books you want to read. Cryixia, hello to you. So he's so angry. He can't believe that this little peon girl is turning him, Darcy, down. The pause was to Elizabeth's feelings dreadful. At length, in a voice of forced calmness, finally, when he got himself under control, he says, "And this is all the reply which I am to have the honor of expecting? I might perhaps wish to be informed why, with so little endeavor at civility, you didn't even try to be nice, I am thus rejected. Like, I'd like to know why you would just reject me like that. But it is of small importance." "I might as well inquire," replied she, "why, with so evident a design of offending and insulting me, you chose to tell me you liked me against your will, against your reason, and even against your character. Was not this some excuse for incivility if I was uncivil?" "Oh, you're calling me uncivil? Look at how you proposed to me. It wasn't very kind. You cut me to the quick, told me my family was no good, and then you're offended that I'm not crazy in love with you?" Tick, 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 the two of them back and forth. "But I have other provocations. You know I have. Had not my own feelings decided against you, had they been indifferent, or had they even been favorable, do you think that any consideration would tempt me to accept the man who has been the means of ruining, perhaps forever, the happiness of my most beloved sister?" So now she's telling him the real truth. Um, As she pronounced these words, Mr. Darcy changed color. The emotion was short, and he listened without attempting to interrupt her while she continued. "I have every reason in the world to think ill of you. No motive can excuse the unjust and ungenerous part you acted there with my sister. You cannot deny that you have been the principal, if not the only means of dividing them from each other, of exposing one to the censure of the world for caprice and instability, the other to its derision for disappointed hopes, and involving them both in misery of the acutest kind." She paused and saw with no slight indication that he was listening with an air which proved him wholly unmoved by any feeling of remorse. He even looked at her with a smile of affected incredulity. "What? Me? Can you deny that you have done it?" she repeated. With assumed tranquillity, he then replied, "I have no wish of denying that I did everything in my power to separate my friend from your sister, or that I rejoice in my success. Towards him, I have been kinder than towards myself." What a thing to say. Elizabeth disdained the appearance of noticing this civil reflection, but its meaning did not escape, nor was it likely to conciliate her. She's like, "What? What the heck?" "But it is not merely this affair," she continued, "on which my dislike is founded. Long before it had taken place, my opinion of you was decided. Your character was unfolded in the recital which I received many months ago from Mr. Wickham. Do we remember Mr. Wickham? He's the one that told the story that Mr. Darcy's father had promised Mr. Wickham an inheritance, and then upon Darcy's father's death, Darcy the younger did dirty to Wickham. On this subject, what can you have to say? In what imaginary act of friendship can you here defend yourself? Or under what misrepresentation can you here impose upon others? You take an eager interest in that gentleman's concerns," said Darcy in a less tranquil tone and with a heightened color. His face is red. "Who that knows what his misfortunes have been can help feeling an interest in him?" "His misfortunes," repeated Darcy contemptuously. "Yes, his misfortunes have been great indeed. And of your infliction, cried Elizabeth with energy, you have reduced him to this present state of poverty, comparative poverty. You have withheld the advantages which you must know to have been designed for him. You have deprived the best years of his life of that independence which was no less his due than his desert. You have done all this, and yet you can treat the mention of his misfortunes with contempt and ridicule. And this, cried Darcy, as he walked with quick steps across the room, is your opinion of me? This is the estimation in which you hold me? I thank you for explaining it so fully. My faults, according to this calculation, are heavy indeed. But perhaps, added he, stopping in his walk and turning towards her, these offenses might have been overlooked had not your pride been hurt by my honest confession of the scruples that had long prevented my forming any serious design. He said, "Oh, um, these offenses, you could have gotten past. I could get past all of this, except you got your feelings so hurt because you feel like I told the truth. Your family's not rich, and you're below my class, which is the truth, and that offended you." These bitter accusations might have been suppressed had I, with greater policy, concealed my struggles and flattered you into the belief of my being impelled by unqualified, unalloyed inclination, by reason, by reflection, by everything. But disguise of every sort is my abhorrence. I tried to be honest. Abhorrence, I hate it. Nor am I ashamed of the feelings I related. They were natural and just. Could you expect me to rejoice in the inferiority of your connections? He's just adding to the fire. To congratulate myself on the hope of relations whose condition in life are so decidedly beneath my own. Like, how arrogant is he that he really thinks he's a better human being because he has more money? Elizabeth felt herself growing more angry every moment, yet she tried to the utmost to speak with composure when she said, "You are mistaken, Mr. Darcy, if you suppose that the mode of your declaration affected me in any other way than as it spared me the concern that I might have felt in refusing you had you behaved in a more gentlemanlike manner." She saw him start at this, but he said nothing, and she continued, "You could not have made me the offer of your hand in any possible way that would have tempted me to accept it. It's not how you said it, it's you. I reject you." Like, right to the quick. Again, his astonishment was obvious, and he looked at her with an expression of mingled incredulity and mortification. Mortification is like horrible embarrassment. She went on, "From the very beginning, from the first moment, I may almost say, of my acquaintance with you, your manners impressing me with the fullest belief of your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain for the feelings of others were such as to form that groundwork of disapprobation on which succeeding events have built so immovable a dislike. And I had not known you a month before I felt that you were the last man in the world whom I would ever be prevailed on to marry. I didn't like you from the beginning. I wouldn't have married you if you were the last man on earth." "You have said quite enough, madam. I perfectly comprehend your feelings, and have now only to be ashamed of what my own have been. Forgive me for having taken up so much of your time, and accept my best wishes for your health and happiness." And with these words, he hastily left the room, and Elizabeth heard him the next moment open the front door and quit the house. The tumult of her mind was now painfully great. She knew not how to support herself, and from an actual weakness sat down and cried for half an hour. Her astonishment as she reflected on what had passed was increased by every review of it. That she should receive an offer of marriage from Mr. Darcy, that he should have been in love with her for so many months, so much in love as to wish to marry her in spite of all the objections which had made him prevent his friends marrying her sister, and which must appear at least with equal force in his own case, was almost incredible. It was gratifying to have inspired unconsciously so strong an affection. But his pride, his abominable pride, his shameless avowal of what he had done with respect to Jane, his unpardonable assurance of acknowledging, though he could not justify it, and the unfeeling manner in which he had mentioned Mr. Wickham, his cruelty towards whom he had not attempted to deny, soon overcame the pity which the consideration of his attachment had for a moment excited. She continued in very agitating reflections till the sound of Lady Catherine's carriage made her feel how unequal she was to encounter Charlotte's observation and hurried her away to her room. She doesn't want to face anybody. Well, that's 20 minutes. I don't have, unless it's, yeah, this next chapter is too long because I've got places to go. And if you guys want to make me happy, I'd love you to text a message to my daughter, whose birthday is tomorrow. So just send a comment below that says, Happy birthday, Reenie, Reeni. Happy birthday, Reenie. And I'll tell her, because she loves YouTubers, and we've done some cameos for her birthday. I hope she's not watching right now. And, I want to be like, well, I could do a cameo for you too. I don't do cameos, but just being funny and say, look, all these people have said happy birthday to you. So do me that favor. Send happy birthday. It's my granddaughter's birthday tomorrow and my daughter's birthday, not her mother. My youngest daughter's birthday is the same as my first granddaughter's birthday, my only daughter's birthday. So let's make it fun. I'm thankful for you guys if you do that. Just shout out some happy birthdays. And if you have a birthday on the 25th, welcome Sagittariuses. Grace, I'm excited for you. I read the rest of that. What a great deal on the books. I'm super excited for you. I love that you're that kind of reader. I love that you get excited about books. That sounds like me. I hope you guys, I might read tomorrow, but I'm certainly not going to have time. Well, last Thanksgiving, we did my daughter and I, the one whose birthday it is, did a birthday, like little blurb that we put on here. I don't know what video. It was a live video. So maybe we'll have time to do that, but we probably won't read. This chapter was a bombshell, wasn't it? Like, did you know Darcy was going to ask her to marry him? And it did not go well. Not a dream engagement scene. So you guys, if you haven't done so already, subscribe and click the bell so that you know when I go live, because I never know when I'm going to go live. That way you get the announcement. She's live. You can hop on and chat with me a little bit, which is really fun for me because I love, like, one of my old students popped in today. That's always fun to see people that I know and check on them and hear how they're doing. Some of you, Fareed and Siddharth and Grace is a semi-regular, but Haley is pretty regular. Kelly is definitely regular. I love having people that I know and get to know, and they're over on Discord. So if you want to join the conversation about books and literature and my boring life, I'm learning how to knit now. Come over to Discord and chat with us. If you want to practice your English, if you're an English second language speaker, I am a certified ESL teacher. So I'm happy to get on the voice channel. We're going to watch when Pride and Prejudice is over. We're going to have a watch party with it, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So check out Discord link, and it's on past comments. And if I get around to it, I'll put it on this one. So if I don't talk to you before, I wish you a very great Thanksgiving. And it may not feel like the normal Thanksgivings, and you may be feeling sorry for yourself and down in the dumps. But you know what? We have so much to be thankful for. I have my family is all healthy. My 84-year-old dad is still doing great with Corona, and I'm so thankful for that. And people that I love are healthy. I have a job that I'm enjoying. It's hard. It challenges me, but it makes me a better person. I have followers that read along with us and that I get to know and keeps my brain young and feel like I'm still teaching. I'm able to read. My eyes haven't given out on me yet. So what's your thank you list? What are you thankful for? Take a moment. And even that awful thing that, you're disappointed because family that you wanted to see, or a girlfriend or boyfriend that you wanted to see, you can't be with, or the job you wanted, so you're not going to have the money you needed, that fell through. School, you're having to go back. We just found out in Louisiana we're going back to phase 2. So some of y'all might be getting more locked in. That's really discouraging. So you can sit and get pissed and get sad, or you can go, okay, that does make me feel sad. I do feel sad, but what can I do with that feeling? How can I breathe and be in this moment and be hopeful and helpful? Naweed, I'm so happy to hear that. It's so hard to be a parent, I promise you. And it's great to hear that you're thankful for your parents. And for y'all, a lot of you don't know it, but your parents are really struggling right now. If you've got a dad who's lost a job, men take the loss of a job really hard. They need to be the providers to their families. And this circumstance is, a once in a thousand year thing or 100-year thing. And your moms and dads are under unbelievable stress and pressure if they've lost jobs. They don't know how they're going to feed y'all. They don't know how they're going to take care of you, pay your house bill, pay your car notes. It's really hard to be a grown up. So, Noe, I'm really glad you're thankful your parents. That's a great way to end this read along. I appreciate you coming in and saying that. So, you guys keep reading, and I will read to you next time. See ya.